Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Psychic Zen 333 with Teresa and with Nancy. Everybody say hi to Nancy. Nancy, say hi to everyone.
Hello, everybody.
So, Nancy, can you please tell the audience who's watching tonight a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I think I can do that. I have been a Buddha master. I've been a spiritual teacher. I've been a reader. I've been working on my, doing and being on my spiritual side for many years. I had an experience that put me in a zone of very high understanding for myself, and so therefore I was a hypnotist for a long time. I've been working as a guide for a very long time.
Agreed.
I used to teach high school.
Well, I'm lucky enough to be your student for 13 years, so this is like an extra special experience for me to be able to come together. And the intention of creating Psychic Zen 333 was to really bring you to the world. There's everything you teach has been so helpful to me, so inspiring, and it really opened up my eyes to there's so much more than I ever imagined, ever was introduced to. So bringing you on to do Psychic Zen is for people to be able to ask questions and find clarity that they're looking for in so many different realms of what it means to be a spiritual person.
Well, everybody is a spiritual person. It's just being aware and understanding that awareness. I think that people are trying to achieve, and having consciousness, understanding, and having you can do many things, but understanding the nature behind and with those things, I think is what we're trying to do here.
I agree with that. So the way that we do this podcast is that Nancy's not in front of a computer right now, so her and I are on the phone while we present this information to you. Luckily, we were able to check that in our previous episode and saw how clearly she was able to come through, which is a nice blessing for us. And I interview Nancy. I ask her these different questions that are cumulative. They come from the readings that I offer, classes that I have, questions that my friends and I come up with to ask her, or even questions like I actually brought the first notebook that I ever had from when I started working with Nancy, and I started going from the beginning.
You hear me laughing because that's interesting. At least you had a notebook. That's good.
Yeah, right. So I kept all my notes. To be a good teacher, you have to be a good student, and I learned that from Nancy. And being a teacher is just being a really good student. I know that there's so much more to that, but in my experience, being able to do so much of what I'm capable of doing now, or what I know now, comes from being very diligent about learning information, what information serves me, what information does not, and sifting through so that I just keep holding on to all the gems of the experience. Okay, Nancy, first question of the night. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear.
We are living in an unprecedented time with new energies and big transformations to navigate. How do we thrive and stay Zen?
Well, the things that we're going through are things we're supposed to be going through. I think there's a reason and a nature behind them that's very important. How do I stay Zen, or is that your question? How do I stay Zen, or how do I stay in contact with this? Is that what you're asking?
I think that another way to say that is, how do I stay in alignment throughout all these changes that are happening?
Let's start. Maybe this is a question you've got anyway, but let's start with the idea of peace and harmony, something like that. How do I stay? One is to accept and allow the life force to unfold. And peace is inside of us. I mean, it's not, people are working so hard, Teresa, to try to become something, and actually everything, it was so interesting that the Creator, the Divine, put everything inside of us. So the peace is something that is already inside of us. The understanding and being able to break away from the negative kinds of things that are happening, and or have some kind of understanding, or keeping a higher level of understanding during all these things, is to be able to recognize whether it's in alignment with the natural universal law or if it's not. So it's pretty easy once you get the hang of what it is that you want and the solution to what you want, and understand that it's already there, it's already yours, then I feel like, it's pretty easy
I
to
agree.
understand what's going on.
I agree with you, and I feel like your answer segues nicely. So you have a lovely large amount of experience, and one of the questions that I received was, so many spiritual teachers say go within, but what does it mean to go within? It seems like everybody, or a fair amount of people, know to go within is the starting place, but they're unsure of what that actually means. So what is your understanding of what it means to go within?
Well, most of, many people, until you start catching the knack of the truth and what needs to be understood, we pay attention so much to the outside and our senses, and we either like or dislike. We either have our opinions, and we have, the very first dimension is separation. And we are all one, but we don't know it, so we separate. And so because of the separation, that means I can be separated in my own mind and at odds with myself. I can be separated with other people and so on. But as soon as you have separation, you're going to end up with fear, because you can't see through whatever it is. Well, inside of us is this. When going inside, it means that you stop looking from the outside point of view, and you stop having this idea that you've got to become something. It's not becoming something. It's more being who you really are. So that all these things are inside of us, and going inside can mean I get a sense to my heart chakra, the message of the heart, may be giving me an answer in a very loving way and understanding in that chakra. And I'm paying attention to it instead of paying attention to all the stuff outside and all the disharmony and all the negative work and people saying things and the chatter. And there's chatter inside too. I mean, the chatter is also not us. It's not who people are, and it's really not who we are. So there's a chatter that also happens sometimes when you start going inside, but it's not real. It's something that is trying to distract us or put us in a different place. So just because I go inside doesn't mean that I have absolute bliss all the time. Sometimes when you go inside, you're going to have to let whatever thoughts come in and then let them leave. Meditation is different than I was a hypnotist, as you know, for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I was a medical hypnotist, but anyway, and spiritual. But the difference between hypnosis is like talking into something, into the recorder, where meditation, which is part of going inside, both of them are really, but meditation is allowing the inside talk to me. So there's a lot of meditations, many very beautiful guided meditations, and I do them as well. But meditation really is allowing the answers, allowing the inside to tell you what your experience, what you want to experience. So if you have a question and you meditate, it won't be because you have to have the answer right that moment that's going to come in loud and clear, but because you went inside, because you've gone somehow, you closed your eyes and knew that somewhere inside you is the answer to whatever it is that you want, because you have done that. Just because you sat down, I used to just sit down when I first started, Teresa, I would just sit down and say, I'm here. I'm here. I'm closing my eyes. I'm here. Show me, guide me, do whatever with me for the highest good. But a lot of it, the more pure thing that you meditate on, or the more pure your thoughts are when you start, the more pure you're going to have the experience. So if all of a sudden I close my eyes and I start seeing light, or maybe I'm hearing sort of a sound, like even clicking sound or cricket sound, anytime, whatever it is, if you just listen, it's about listening, and it's about seeing, it's about feeling, it's about having all those senses go to something more pure and more real than whatever is happening in this chaos and all this stuff outside. So going inside is really important. It's where the answers are. If you start breathing and you go through breathing is one of the easiest ways to go inside, as you listen to your breath, and the breath is divine. It is a gift. It is an amazing, amazing gift. And so if you start breathing and listening, we breathe anyway. We got to breathe anyway. But the difference is you pay attention to it. And if you pay attention to the breath, that's why so many of us meditate through the breath, it's because it's divine. And just because I do it, it's going to automatically take me inside, which will automatically, if I allow it to help me rather than me control it, then it will be it will bring truth and harmony to me. Again, it may not be just the moment I sit down but it is because I close my eyes and I go inside, then I will get the reality rather than the false. So inside is really important because it's where the now is. The now is where all the truth is, in the now is where the harmony is, it's where the peace is, it's where everything it is. And we have that inside of us, each one of us. I don't care anyone out there, anyone who breathes has the opportunity for it. And so going inside means letting go of my perceptions, letting go of what everyone told me, my belief systems, letting go that of everything I experienced in the past. That person will never change. I hear that quite often, and I'm sitting there going, I hope that's not true.
Yeah.
But far be it for me to say that, but I would never say that. I don't say that. But, change is part of it. And because the world is always changing, there's so much change going on, then to understand it, to have clarity and understanding, and the whole idea is for us to have fun, be peaceful, feel love, experience everything that is for our highest good. And it doesn't cost anything. We can sit in our own little space. And it's already inside of us. It's really interesting because happiness is a nectar. It's already inside of us. It's not about something outside making me happy. It's about my recognizing something outside that gives me a feeling of being happy. There's peace and harmony inside me. And it's not about someone, whether I get something, I don't have something. It's not about promises, that other people make, and all and being upset and having concepts of what people should or shouldn't do around me. It's about there's a peace inside of me that's peaceful, and and that is our nature. This is something that was given to us by the grace of God or divine. I don't know if I answered all that, but.
You did. You answered that beautifully. And I'm so excited because as you give answers, you're already answering questions that I had by what you're sharing. So there's questions that are coming up. One question that Denise here had asked is, I have a hard time with meditation. And Denise, if you have any further questions on what Nancy said, then please ask. But just to kind of recap on that, the way that I feel or that I perceive we live our lives, for me, when I was learning how to meditate, there was a metaphor that was like, our minds are like a train. They're always rushing around from one place to the other, and they have to move with such extreme force in order to kind of keep up with our day-to-day life. So the idea is, can I slow the train? Can I stop the train?
Well, it should be an automatic reaction to slow, slow the mind into a peaceful place. The answer to when someone tells me they're having trouble meditating, that's not unusual. Everybody had trouble meditating because our mind wants to control, and we try too hard. You can't sit down and grit your teeth and hold your fists and say, I'm meditating, because that's trying to control. And now in hypnosis, you program, how, again, I was a medical hypnotist, and a healer, but in hypnosis, I made suggestions to the subconscious mind, and if I were lucky enough to make the suggestion that would be accepted, then it worked. Where in meditation, it should be the universe, it should be your spirit, it should be your high self talking to you. And that means you're not doing it, they're doing it. Whatever you want to call it, the divine is in peace and harmony with you. And what you're doing is allowing the relaxation to happen so that your mind does slow down. And when your mind slows down, then you have a better chance of paying attention and being aware. And awareness is the name of the game. Consciousness, dimensions are about awareness and understanding, and the high dimension is that it's all about solution. So, you always want to go to the solution, and if you don't know the solution, which a lot of times we don't, we're not sure, or in this world we got caught up in a trap of it. We're in a matrix, and trying to get out of the matrix. It's important that I have the answers that help me and make my life more comfortable and easy, so I can be happy with that nectar inside me, and I can have peace and harmony because it's what I'm meant to be.
Right.
It is the natural state of who we're supposed to be, and it's the one thing that we're not in a lot of cases. But it's not about becoming, it's not about working and becoming and trying too hard. Meditation, like I said, when I first started meditation, you can meditate on light, you can meditate on an object, you can meditate on a feeling, a thinking, and anything. But meditation, this is where people get confused. Guided meditation helps you get into the zone, which is really wonderful, and then it puts it in a direction that you want, like to heal or to stop eating, whatever it might be. But the true meditation is allowing the universe to talk to you, listening, being able to pay attention. You might see things, you might hear things, you might experience nothing other than you're inside. And you're inside because you are inside. And it's not something that has to be, I don't think you have to be on a mountaintop with your knees crossed. There's beautiful things that can happen with the yogis and everything. I mean, they know how to do this. But the one thing they know how to do is they know how to breathe. And they know that breath is divine. And they know it's so amazing. To this day, I've been meditating on the breath for a long time. And I am still amazed. I'm sitting there going, one day I just went, God, you're a genius. How genius of you to put yourself in the breath. When we say God is inside, here it is, right inside of me. It's a life force inside of me that keeps everything inside of me alive. But it's divine. It has that divine, it's divine. And if I listen to it and if I allow myself to experience it, then that can also lead me inside. Right. I mean, that's one of the easier ways. And there's all kinds of techniques to go into meditation. There's all kinds of meditation. But the real meditation is letting the universe be in oneness with you. And you're experiencing it. You may feel it. You may see it. You may experience it. You may hear it. There's all kinds of things. Or you're just sitting there with the intent, this is what I want. This is what I want to do. This is my experience. I know that if I sit here and just be, then I'll have a slower mind. The chatter won't be there. Eventually the chatter's not there. And if I'm just sitting there and just being peaceful and comfortable and happy, what more can I want?
It's so funny. I think about when I first started with you and how I was so in my mind, and any of these things that you're saying now seem so unreal.
A lot of company, though, Teresa. I mean, there were a lot of people that were doing that.
Yeah.
That's why, you know, that's one thing. I don't mean to interrupt you, but just why I got on my focus here. I personally, I believe the only reason I had a right to be a teacher, you know, for the people that I had, and you being one of them, is because I'd already been through the experiences, a lot of the experiences you were going to go through. And I think the teacher's job, the big thing about a teacher, is to expedite things, to help that person go further and faster. But it's not necessarily going to, you know, it's not necessarily giving information they don't already know on some level. I mean, everything I taught you, everything I taught anyone, it's already inside you.
Yeah.
And that's about going inside. It's already you, who you are. All I did was sort of remind you or poke it or give it or clarify it and remind you in some form or whatever happened. That's all it is. It's not it's not that the teacher knows more than the student. Sometimes it's about giving the student an upgrade so that they can move and do what they need and want to do. I mean, everything I taught everything I knew and know. I always do, but the only reason I do it is because you're going to be taking it out and doing what you're doing tonight with the broadcast. You know? So it worked.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like the idea that I had is like, you know, I felt like I had studied a lot of different spiritual subjects before you, but you had opened my mind to such a vast place or to my power. And you always have this perfect thing to say that snaps me into that aha moment. And I like when we were talking about meditation and peace as a subject, one thing that like sticks in my mind is like, you can be anywhere. You can be on a mountain, you can be in the Himalayas, you can be with the yogis, but if you don't have peace inside, it's going to be very difficult for you to get a peaceful mind. You have to recognize that peace is already living within, and how do you connect yourself to the peace that already lives within? And I think that there's a mindset that goes into it of, if I already have it inside of me, well, now it's not about developing it or becoming it. It's about how do I get in touch with it? And that is a whole different train of thought or way of being.
Do you remember when I had you go out to the mall, a mall here?
Yeah.
And I gave everybody instructions where I said, don't tell the tree what it is. Go out and ask it.
Right.
And observing is really important. Observing and with having an open mind and observing something, instead of talking to all the, instead of you watching people that were, it was on a Sunday, I think, and it was a busy maybe morning, but instead of looking at people and observing them and having your own concept of it, just be open and see what those people were about. See what things are, understand what things are. It's just fascinating what the universe can show us and tell us and remind us. If we observe and it's not about having an opinion about everything. It's about experiencing something from a higher level. And then you're going to know either that is true or it's going to work. I don't believe in right and wrong or good or bad so much. I believe in what works and what doesn't. And when you go inside and you're guided to what works, and how do you know that it's a good thing? How do you know you're in alignment with the universe and the divine? Because you're going to know, because you are it. You become it. Mm-hmm. And it works.
So the next question that I have here for you is, why do our thoughts, beliefs, and feelings matter? And in a way, you've kind of already answered it. But to directly answer that question, aligning the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, like, why is it important for us to get a hold of the monkey mind and align it to the intelligent, knowing self within?
because what's so interesting to me, and what my experience of Nancyism on this, and that is everyone is so beautifully unique. It's like every single drop in the ocean is a drop. It's a singular, amazing creation, and a drop can be, it's part of the ocean and may have other drops around it, but every single person is so unique and was created. It was actually created by something that wanted it to be unique and then go out and find itself and understand itself and enjoy what it finds and understands. Even if I've done something, that wasn't too acceptable, or I did something what we call wrong, or, I did this, or I did that, that was just to teach me that I don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
And sooner or later, we get the idea, I don't want to do this. I don't like this. I want to be happy. I want to feel good. We're not here to save anybody anymore. It's already been done.
Right.
But we are here to be happy and demonstrate what the real truths are, and what the real God is, and what the real situations are. And real is not the illusion of the outside. Real is something inside me that goes so deep, that's so eternal, and has been around for so long, and so part of the, it could be one, what we consider little drop in the ocean, but that little drop in the ocean is as important. It has access to the whole ocean.
Right.
So while it's like having our souls and our spirit, it's like if you put it in a Coke bottle, it's in a Coke bottle, but it has access to everything. And it's amazing the gifts that has been given to experience all kinds of different things. And people say such and such about someone. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I don't know what they signed up for. I don't know everything everybody signed up. I know a lot of times I do, but I don't know what everybody signed up for. So if they're making mistakes, I would assume they're making them to eventually find whatever the answer is for them. And there's people here, we have many, the idea of my Father has many mansions, that, Jesus said, and Buddha did the same. But, I think there are a lot of mansions. I think we have a lot of planets. I think space is just amazingly enormous. And we're still, we're looking. I love these things that are going out and spending and showing us what space, a little bit of what space is. And it's just a pin to everything that is possible. So the fifth dimension is about being in unlimited possibilities. And that's a hard concept for people. They're so used to linear, everything I learned, someone told me I have to, if I'm unhappy and I am not feeling good and I don't have a good perspective on something because it doesn't make me, I'm looking at the outside for my answers and all that, then, it's going to show me a different experience than it does when I'm open-minded and finding out. I love the fifth dimension. That's heaven on earth, and it's unlimited, and it's real, and it's in the now. I love having it give me information, and I have done this so many times. I never would have thought of that. That is amazing. I never in a million years would have thought of that.
Yeah.
And yet I just got that information.
It's so true. There's a very big liberated experience to allowing the fifth dimension, the grace source, our inner world, to show us what can be available to us as soon as we get out of our own way and not looking outside, but looking inside to be a creative component to the world or an observer of the world instead of going to that place. And that was actually one of the questions, was how do I know, who is our true self versus our false self?
I'll tell you how you know, because if you're in alignment with the universal law, like the one universal law is the law of attraction. I get everything I think. Sooner or later, I'm going, whatever I think and whatever way I think it, it's going to come back at me. Mm-hmm. It's a law of attraction.
Correct.
And I suggest to people, they go sort of look at the universal laws, and when you're in alignment, you are, I may use the high fourth dimension, and I might use an archangel or Buddha and many of the high level beings, because we are high level beings too. Anyway, that's who we pray to many times. We pray to the high fourth dimension, which are highly evolved beings. They can only see the truth. They can only see the positive, but they can also see that our negative, what to help us get out of that box of negativity and that box of limitedness and that matrix. So, but the fifth dimension, it already has innumerable answers and possibilities for me. And the only price tag I have to pay to be in touch with that is to go to it with a positive. How I'm so thankful that I am happy, and I'm so thankful I've really had a nice day. How do I do this every day? Fifth dimension. How do I keep having this wonderful day? You go to it with the positive affirmations and positive thinking. It takes practice because we're so used to doing it the other way, and we're so used to letting the outside decide whether we deserve it or we don't deserve it. But meditation and going inside, going back to your original question, going into the space where spirit resides, in our high selves reside right in our heart chakra, right behind our physical heart, and our God mind is right in the back of the head, and so on. And all of our, everything is spirit. Everything is. So, being in alignment, if you are in alignment, you might understand the elementals, the fires and rain and all the different things. And you might be able to, who knows what you're going to do. Everybody is so unique and so incredible. I think there are people who are here to observe. They come from other spaces that are going to go through what Earth is going to go through now. And I think they're here to watch and observe, and they may look at things and experience things differently than the person who's here to teach. It could be, who knows what everybody's doing, and but I do know that it's all in alignment. Sooner or later, everyone will be in alignment one way or another, and it'll be by their own free will and choice. It's not going to be pushed on them, and it's not a punishment. It's an opportunity to become who we are and what we were created to be.
What do you like? I know because we've had discussions about that, but for those who have not had the opportunity to have discussions, can you elaborate on that? Like what we came in for, what we were meant to be?
Well, I think if you want to just take it in a simplistic way, what we're meant to be is happy. We're meant to be peaceful. We're meant to be in alignment, allowing things to unfold. We're in alignment, being open-minded and seeing what really is, or what different things are there. It's like having a whole new life. I mean, it's like like a child opening its eyes and looking at things. Now, I know I sound Pollyanna to maybe somebody out there, but it is a sort of a Pollyanna thing. But to me, spirit is very practical. It's very practical for me to be clear rather than keep making the same mistakes over and over again. It's very practical for me to have to know that I can go inside and I can breathe and I can listen to the breath and I can change my attitude and my mindset. I can change, and if I want to change the environment, all I have to do is do a few things and I can change the environment that affects me around me. And all I have to do is go to it and ask for it and be part of it and be willing to experience something that's not. We are addicted to negativity. Now, people are addicted to being suffering. People have been taught that suffering is the way, the name of the game. In the Pisces age, it was. The Pisces age was an age of suffering. And now we're in an age of light. So many things are available to us now in a much easier way and given to us and helping us and helping everyone who wants it. It has to be through one free will. If you get tired of suffering, after a while you're going to become a good student. And you're going to be a good student because you're going to want to figure out how to get out of it.
Yeah.
And then you're going to find the miracles that were given to you, the gifts and the miracles that were given to you that can help you do that. And you're going to find out that you are the miracle and you are the gift. and you can make the change just because you want to.
Right. I agree with you. That was actually one of the questions that I had for you, is how do we free ourselves from suffering? Like, there's beliefs about things being imposed on us, and then there's what we create. And there's so many people, one thing or another, they have health issues or money issues.
Teresa, the law of attraction is going to bring to me what I think. If I think that I'm unlimited, if I love myself, and if I'm looking in the mirror and I have to sit there and go, I really love you, Nancy, I love you, but you convince yourself eventually. But the bottom line is, you're going to get eventually to a place where you basically love everybody. You can love a stranger the same way you love the people that are the closest to you. Love is love.
Right.
And it doesn't mean people have to act and be the same thing. It just means the love inside us is a nectar. It comes from, I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy. And allow the universe to show you how. And that's by, understanding that the understanding comes from within. The experience comes from within. The idea comes from within. And it's something that will guide us and lead us into something better. And people who say, this always happens to me, I've never had anything. I've done this and this, and they're absolutely right. In the Pisces age, it's probably the truth. They probably had a very interesting, unfortunate, a lot of stuff go on. But this is a new age. This is a new beginning. This is a new opportunity. And even though it doesn't look this way, maybe politically and the wars and so on, I mean, the wars, stop fighting. Stop fighting with my own mind. Stop fighting with other people. Stop fighting. Because fighting isn't going to help me do anything other than be unhappy. And so if that's impossible, I fought with this person and they were mean to me and they were this and they were that. If you don't want to be exposed to that, and if you don't want, you don't even have to get rid of the person. All you have to do is have a mindset is, well, that's just the way they think. That doesn't have to be anything around me. Now, I'm not talking about abuse. I'm not talking about really bad stuff, but I'm talking about just in general that, don't pick up the stone and throw it. If you don't want to have the stone come back.
Yeah. There's so there's a question on here. In addition to it, it's like, okay, so what happens when stuff is stuck, or you've had a traumatic experience, or how do I move from fear into faith? So if I want these things.
One thing, there are tools. Hypnosis is one good tool to find out sort of if you get someone who's really good at helping the person become aware of whatever it was that started that, whatever the history was. Sometimes usually if you get in touch, a lot of these things are past life or, past. I don't even see them as past lives anymore. I see them as timelines, past timelines, and they're running simultaneously where we are right now. So sometimes getting in touch, if I had, a really bad, uncomfortable childhood and got hurt, and so on, it's a decision. I have a choice. I can either keep living that situation, or I can go to a higher level and ask for it to be, brought to a higher level and taken away. I mean, there's so many tools out now. There's so much on YouTube and all different places now how to get rid of some of that stuff. And getting rid of, ascension is about getting rid of all that stuff. It's not about becoming something new. You already have it. You're already there. You just have to get rid of the things that aren't, that don't serve you anymore.
Right.
And you didn't hear me say the word easy. It's not easy because we have an attachment to those things. We believe they were real. We believe that we were a victim. Masters are not victims. Victims get victimized. Masters master it.
That's
And
right.
everyone can do that. I mean, everyone can do it. I'm not saying everyone does do it, but it's available to them. And I think people are going to wake up and understand that. I think our auras are going to go out way far away, and that anybody who needs a piece of information that's going to help them, they can tap into our aura, and they will. The difference between now and the past in the Pisces age is they will have instantaneous understanding. Doesn't mean they have to do it, but they'll know it. They'll have some understanding to it. I believe that God, the divine, is going to make itself seen, heard, and be more than it's ever been on this planet before.
I feel that way, and that's been a fair amount of people that I've been having conversations with have been saying, do you feel it? It feels so big. It feels so great. It feels like things are just happening. It feels like we're being really guided right now. And one of the things,
I keep interrupting you. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. The takeaway that you had given, get comfortable not knowing. I can volunteer and say that I was a very controlling person. Not that I wanted to control others, but I really wanted to control situations in my life. And my mind was very strong. And now being able to be on the other side of that is, it feels so comfortable. It feels so nice. But things come to me so much easier because I allowed them to come to me. But what I did was I took what you taught me, and I would repeat it to myself when situations presented themselves. Teresa, get comfortable not knowing. We're not going to know everything, but if we're in the now moment, we'll be guided to know what to do next. And by repeating that to myself over and over again, it did help me to get comfortable with not knowing. So could you break down for everyone the get comfortable not knowing part?
I think it's important. It's a good question. There's the past, which everybody likes to lay in sometimes, and then we're fearful of our future. If you're fearful of the past, you're going to have fear in the future. But there's a damned if you do door, and then there's a damned if you don't door, and then it just seems like things are helpless, are bad. That's one way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's another part. There's the now. Right now, in this very second, right this moment. And in this now is where the spirit is. In this now, that's what you get when you meditate and when you go inside. In the now, it is unlimited. In the now, you get in touch with the whole ocean instead of just a couple drops or your own drop. In the now is where the answers lie. So you can't have the now if you're in the past, because the past is the past. And so if you're in the now, that means whatever it is that you're thinking now, whatever you're doing right now is going to be, it's going to be what the next future is, what your next future is a little bit. So the now is so important, and being in the now and not knowing, if I know, then I have to if I know, and I didn't get it from my spirit, or I didn't get it from a higher level, then I have used something in my past, as evidence for whatever that is.
Right.
I've gone to my past and I've repeated the past. The past goes around in circles. Spirit goes in spirals. So I would go round and round in circles and circles and circles. You repeat, you keep doing the same thing over and over again, and then until you get and understand it. As soon as you understand the real truth behind it, it stops. But that is in the now. The now is, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to suffer anymore.
Right.
I don't want to be unhappy anymore. I want people to be who they are. I want to respect people to be who they are. I want to love people who they are. And I want to trust and have a trust and a foundation that brings peace and harmony to me. How do I do that? Well, in the now, if you go to the past, if you have enough money, and if you have, it's going to promise you this and promise you that, and then you're going to have expectations, and then you could get disappointed, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, there's many different lines to this.
Right.
But the now is where the truth is. And the now, if I have something right now, I'm feeling good right now. I'm just 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 feeling good. I just have enough I'm still here. I believe that there's something really good going to happen. I believe it because I believe it, I know it, and if I know it and have faith, I know it will be. It'll make it in form. I know, whatever.
Right.
Whatever anybody, there's so much help on so many levels on, like I said, YouTube in different areas, so many different things. One of the things I use for a lot of my learning and understanding are movies. I watch movies and I catch a lot of drifts of things I need to remember and know. I use them. I think, if somebody's doing something and I react to it, I'm sitting there going, well, there must be something in me that, this is catching, I need to clear this up. But you can do it in so many ways. I mean, right now we're getting so many gifts. There's so many ways.
I remember you having that conversation with me. You were like, I'm really starting to understand. I don't remember what the word you used, but you're like, I'm watching movies now and I'm getting clear about my high self through these movies because I'm looking at the way that the characters are. And if I have any kind of judgment on that was it. I'm practicing non-judgment through watching movies.
Yeah,
so
if I judge the character, thank God I judge the character rather than a real person, right?
Yeah.
But, you know me, I like to correct my mistakes. So, when I say mistakes, the ones that don't work for me.
Right.
It may not be a mistake for someone else, but for me, I like to be, I would rather look at it and let me think of another way to explain this. There was a client of mine, and I'm not going to get too much into this, but there was a client of mine, and they were dating someone, and that person used to say something like, they were trying to get him jealous a little bit so that, they wanted to be reinforced and told how incredible they are, and they wanted secure, feeling secure and be loved, adored, and appreciated. So one method they used was one that, every once in a while somebody uses it, where they make someone jealous, they try to say so-and-so, looked at me, or so-and-so did this or whatever. So I suggested to him that I agree with her. She's so wonderful. She's so beautiful. Of course they're going to look at her.
Right.
They're so wonderful. There's so many little things you can do to bring the end result. If you understand what the end result is, what the person's really feeling or looking for, there's so many good ways to do that. So many ways that can be accomplished that are not warlike, and they bring peace rather than harmony, or rather than disharmony.
Okay, so I touched on this slightly before, and then I just wanted to kind of bring it back and tie this piece off to it. So the question, we said, how can I be free from suffering? How can I move from fear into faith? But the follow-up question to that is, why do we have fear to begin with, especially if the nectar inside or the natural state of our being inside is happiness, peace, love? Why is it sometimes hard to push certain things out of the way, like thoughts or different feelings that we have towards things that kind of get sticky? How do we clear them out of the way? So the two-part question: why do we fear to begin with? And then what's the easiest way to move those things out of the way?
Well, I can only tell you what I understand, and it's a very quick answer to a very complex situation. Okay. And that is, one of the things is the original plan. If this is like a computer program that we're in, a matrix, the original matrix was to come in, experience different things, the good, the bad, the ugly, plus, positive, medium, whatever, and make a decision on it, and then take that knowledge back with us. And then, but what happened at the fall was there was a disagreement on how important the universal law is, and that we didn't need universal laws. And there was the energies that were against the divine and God and so on, or were against universal law part of it. The universal laws to me are the characteristics of the divine. So anyway, we're against that. We don't need to do this. We don't need to do that. Well, it got hacked. I mean, the human race here got hacked. And at the very beginning of their creation. So why are we going through this? The original plan was to go through it just to learn, and then what happened was to control and to keep a lot of, keep everyone held back and not graduate and get to the real answers. Well, all that they were given, those negative energies or those different planets or all the war stuff and all that stuff. It's a lot more to it than I'm explaining right now. But the idea, the problem is because they were given one age to accomplish to prove their point. That age was the Pisces age. And the Pisces age was suffering. I mean, it was a lot of, it's a lot of stuff. Now we're in a new age. We have a new earth. We have a new possibilities. We have so many of the universe coming into light and love and peace and harmony. I don't know if you notice this or not. Why do we have this is we're cleaning it out. We're cleaning it up. That's why we have to go through a cleaning process.
Right.
Getting rid of things that don't, that we know don't work anymore.
Yeah.
And, I hear these babies, and they're young. I mean, these kids play, Beethoven. I hear these kids that are sitting there and they're singing, and their voices are so pure they bring tears to my eyes. I can see these babies dancing. I send out posts all the time on this stuff. They're dancing, they're bopping around, and they're only one, two less, babies getting into the music and the sense and laughing and smiling. We have the opportunity, animals loving each other that normally wouldn't even, they're supposed to be enemies, and mankind saving. I mean, there's so much light in this time period. There's so much beautiful things happening, but if I'm caught in the matrix, in the box of the matrix, and caught in all that negativity, I'm not going to feel it or see it.
Right.
Or it won't make the same impression. So it's a choice. It's a choice. We have one hand that represents the negativity and all the negative stuff that we learned in the matrix and the computer program that was false. And we have the truth right beside it. We have the matrix, the new earth, and new times, and not just earth, it's our whole universe. But we have, right beside it, we have the beautiful, everything that was originally intended to be is now coming into force. So how do we get out of it? You choose. Every minute you have a choice. And one of the people who I think is really good about showing this is Michael Singer.
Okay.
The Untethered Soul. There's so many.
Yeah, that book was amazing. That book was really good. I said that book was really great. I loved reading that book.
Well, and the emphasis on be happy. Don't, just because someone did something doesn't mean that I have to ruin my life for it.
Yeah.
Just because they didn't do something doesn't mean I have to ruin my life for it. Remember, I'm sure you remember me saying that, or maybe you don't, but I would think you remember me saying, I used to tell people when we were in the Pisces age, when we're not in the Pisces age so much now, and I used to say, pray the hardest when everything's going right.
Right.
Remember?
Yes. And I do that. That is a practice that I do to this day.
Right, because the Pisces age was up and down. I mean, you do something good, and then you get wiped out, and so on. You do one thing, and you're all happy, and this is an age where you can stay put in love, peace, and harmony and well-being, and you can go inside and you can recognize yourself. You can get the internal is unlimited. Totally unlimited, which is some concept that most people have a hard time with, but you won't have a hard time with it when you start experiencing it. When you start experiencing it, you can sit there and do like what I used to do. I never would have thought of that. Oh my God, that is amazing.
Yeah, there's like these moments that come to mind, and I use these moments to relish on. So going back to what you said, do you remember in class, you just said it a second ago, what was the focus on? I just slipped my mind. I was thinking, I'll come back to it, I guess. Well, I think about like this meditation when you said, oh my God, that's amazing. Well, I went mining in a garnet mine with a friend of mine, and it had just started to rain. And they said in advance, if it rains, we're not going in the mine. It's too dangerous, too slippery. So we got to the mine and it started downpouring. And I walked into the place and I said, my friend and I are here for the weekend. We'd like to go mining. I understand the rules are that the mining won't happen if it's raining, but I'm just curious to know, if it stops raining, is there any way that you'll do afternoon tours? And he's like, girl, you came in here with a big smile and this rain-filled poncho, and I got a bunch of crazy people up on that mountainside right now, mining their hearts out in the pouring rain to get some garnet pieces. And I'll take you and your friend up there. No problem, girl. I'll get you up there. So we get up there, and we're in the rain. We both have our dogs with us, and we get driven up to this beautiful, just surrounded by mountains. It's like, it was like this little cutout surrounded by mountains, and the rain was causing these the waterfalls to happen over the mountains, and there were trees all on top of the mountains, and these bodies, like these lakes of water, and the garnet was like revealing itself from the dirt because it was raining, so it was so much easier to spot. So all the dirt was like red speckled dirt, and I had this blissed out feeling of being so alive and so in touch with everything. I felt part of everything. So now when I meditate and I think about, things that you taught, don't war, be in peace, go within, these little mantras that stick in my head from things that you say. Like if I'm in the middle of something that's challenging me, I'll think back to that moment of being in the mountain and just be like, oh my God, that was so blissful. Isn't life so blissful? And I just turn it all around in my mind within the same moment. And then if I am in a happy place, I'm like, I'm going to add this to the bank of good things to think and feel, because it is a choice. You want to choose happy when you're in moments. And a way to also choose happy is to think about, when you're in the moment, what am I learning from this? What can I pull from this experience that's contributing to my well-being? And I think that something you said again, don't war, don't engage, don't take it personally, don't sit in
Teresa,
it.
I would say don't war, but I probably wouldn't say it right now. You know what I would say?
What?
Be at peace. Peace is inside you. With the fifth dimension, if you're in the fifth dimension, it's only the solution. The high fourth dimension would be, would be don't war, change your behavior kind of thing. The fifth dimension is you go where it already is changed.
That's true.
I just love the fact that people are loving each other. I just love to see people men and women holding their babies, and I just love to see. That is so neat. Thank you for giving me the sight. The fifth dimension is where I think it wants us. It does not see anything negative whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Buddhas or the monkeys that put their hands over their eyes, their ears, and their mouth. And it's only about the solution and love. It takes practice to do that, because we've had so much time in that lower level, the Pisces age, that it takes time to think of only solution. Oh, I'm so thankful that I got the rubies. I'm so thankful that he brought me in, which is what you were saying.
Yeah.
The only thing I would leave out is don't war. Probably now I wouldn't be saying that too much. I say it in a way sometimes because the high fourth is important too. But if I really want to do, I'm so thankful that more and more people are not choosing more. Thank you that more and more people are not choosing more. Thank you more and more that money comes flowing into me. I am so appreciative, even though the fourth dimension would be, I know I haven't had it before, but money hasn't been easy or whatever. But now I know that it's just pouring in, or it's easy or whatever. You can use the fourth dimension and correct it with the negative, or you can use the fifth dimension like it never happened.
I think that ties into my last question. So the last question is the individual law of attraction versus our prayers for them. So some of the people who are listening right now with medical things, they're having personal medical things, or they have people that are close to them in their lives having medical things. And, okay, so we pray for these people to be healed completely, and to get on the other side of things, but then they also have free will, and there's also law of attraction. So how does that like grouping of things work? What's the most powerful thing in there when we're praying for others? Does this make sense?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's a big thing. I looked into everything I said, because I had to figure out what this next age was about, this Aquarian age. And one of the things, I looked at the word healing, and the healing it sort of assumes that there's something out of balance, and in healing there's something wrong. Otherwise, you wouldn't need the healing, right?
Right.
But really, you heard me. I'm sure if you remember right right as I remember it. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but the way I meant it certainly would be that healing was always about balance.
Right.
And balance is positive, so I wasn't programming the negative by saying that person was sick, so therefore they needed healing. I now say everything's about balance. Ask for the balance. Ask for peace of harmony. Ask for whatever it is that needs to happen, that it happens for the highest good. Always, and ask for their highest good, because that's really where healing is in this Aquarian age.
Right. And I think
the body wants to heal. Teresa, the body wants to heal, and if it's meant to heal, it wants to heal. It knows how to heal. And then what we do, and there's so many good things on YouTube again, or on different TV shows on healing. There's so many good things. Healing is a balance, and balance is understanding. And the more you are in your spirit form, and the more you are in oneness, we are all one, and not letting everything that's opposite of that perception and so on. Your body, stress is one of the worst ones, that cause the problem. So the more peaceful you are, and when you're praying for someone else for their highest good, ask that they be brought into alignment, a peace and harmony and well-being, and their bodies. The bodies know. Tell the body, you know how to heal. You heal.
Yeah.
And keep it positive. That's what I'm
saying. So right now, I just want to kind of hit a couple things before we wrap up tonight. My first is, if anybody has any last questions for Nancy or I, please ask them now. Earlier, Ashley had asked Nancy, I want to learn how to do hypnosis. I've been very pulled to learn this. Do you have a reference for someone like me to go and learn this?
Yeah, I think learning hypnosis is an incredible tool. I mean, I use it, I was a professional hypnotist for years. And hypnosis means, what you do is if you use the word hypnosis, you can use it, you can use a lot of other terms for it. But hypnosis basically is taking your computer, which is your subconscious mind, and then reprogramming what has been, it's just like a computer. You delete something and you reprogram it.
Right.
And it's the same thing you do on your computers and your phone. So learning how to do hypnosis, I don't know anybody in I don't know where they're from,
Ashley's from Kentucky.
New York but find somebody who's Tony Gailey was one of my mentors when I was first learning. I started out being a hypnotist, and everything fell into place for me. There's just, I thought it's a communication. The successful hypnosis, meaning changing the subconscious mind, means either you're doing it self-hypnosis or you're doing it with someone else, means that you're capable of coming up with the updated suggestions in such a way that person wants to receive it. And the subconscious has no choice. If it denies the suggestions, that means the person hasn't hit the right button, so to speak. Because the subconscious computer would be like your computer saying, well, we could have computers in the future, AIs and stuff, saying, no, I'm not going to do that. And it does it in a way. If you really don't want to quit smoking, then, you have, as a hypnotist, I was really good at getting that person to voluntarily change their mind if that's really what they wanted to do to be successful. If they didn't want to do it, then they don't. But
right.
It's a communication skill. Hypnosis is about communication and knowing how to communicate. And what you're doing is communicating on a relaxed level. When you relax, your subconscious comes up into alertness, and hopefully your critical mind will descend. And when you do, hypnosis is not something where you just say something and everybody's going to, be like chickens, and do all this crazy stuff. I very seldom did show hypnosis, but every once in a while I would do it just to demonstrate. And but I would never do anything that showed, people would have to be afraid of. But the subconscious is amazing, and being able to access, you could, be able to do. We do this all the time. We change our subconscious all the time, or we use it every day.
Right.
So, but why not have our mind and our subconscious be in alignment with what I really want?
Right. Yeah.
Today in the now, right now. I don't want to overeat right now. I don't want the right now. But it may be that if I were going to overeat, then it wouldn't bother me. I wouldn't have any repercussions from it. See, we're unlimited. If you go to the fifth dimension, there's more than one way to solve the problem, so to speak.
Right.
But it doesn't see it as a problem, and that's why it's unlimited, because it only sees many, 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 many solutions.
Understood and agreed. Nilda writes, I used to be meditating for a little while, but with all that's going on with my mom and her health problems, I find it to be too difficult because I feel too emotional about my situation. What is something I can do to get started all over again? But I think we answered that with the focus on the breath.
Let me answer that one directly, if you don't mind.
Sure.
If it's okay. Do you have time?
Yeah.
I would rather, when we were chanting, we were Buddhist chanting, and so on.
Right.
If I were chanting, remember this, Teresa, I'm sure you remember, I'm thinking you remember this. I used to say, I would rather hear someone say one chant and mean it than 108 chants.
Yep, I do. Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing with this person who's asking that. There's no doubt any caretaking situation like this, it's just consuming. It has a lot of consuming situation. I've done it. It's very consuming. All she has to do is one time. Okay, here's what I would suggest she does. She takes 3 deep breaths, okay? And then she listens. The next time she listens to the sound of breath. The actual sound of the breath is the name of God. Okay. She listens to that sound, and she just takes 3 deep breaths, and she listens to the sound of breath. And then she comes back and takes care of her mom. I will guarantee you that she will feel much more peaceful and relaxed just by that very simple act.
That's excellent advice. Okay, that's for Nilda. And then we just make sure that we answered everybody else's questions. Denise says, I would love to be hypnotized.
It's a wonderful experience. I mean, you're hypnotized all the time. TV's hypnotized, there's all kinds of things that technically hypnotize people into something. Are you hungry? Are you hungry? There's all kinds of stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it's a wonderful experience. I like I said, I was a hypnotist for a long time.
And then Denise says, the fifth dimension is like sunshine. Even the song makes sense now hearing it.
Yeah.
And the last thing, I think that's it. One thing that we had briefly touched on, but I feel is important to leave off on, and maybe we'll cut it here afterward, a prayer for the highest good. So one of the most important things you ever taught me in the realm of healing was pray for something nice to happen for someone, or just ask for their highest good to happen for them, highest good in fifth dimension, because their high self knows what to do for them more than anyone could ever know. And that,
Absolutely.
And asking that to happen, even as simple as it is, it's so powerful. And if we could keep that in mind when we wanted to pray for ourselves or for others, their high self knows what to do. Our high self knows what to do. So whether we're praying for ourselves, and that was the thing I was thinking about, was the prayer, praying for ourselves. So we said, whatchamacallit, praying when it's good. Nancy was saying, pray when it's good, not just when it's bad. And I had that experience where if I were too in my mind, something would happen that was bad. I'd get sucked into it. I'd get on the other side because I'd be praying and doing the behavior or the conducive solution stuff that was good for me. I'd get out of it, and then I'd find myself in the next ego trap. And I started to get really like tired of that experience. So I decided it was really important for me to pray every day. And that way I could be in alignment, and I would stop falling into those ego traps. And it worked. It's been really great. So I make it a point in the morning to just do that simple prayer. High self, I ask to do what's for my best and highest good in the fifth dimension today. And it takes 1 minute, if that, to do, but it has so many positive impacts on my life, whether it's the people I meet, places I go, things I know, think, messages I get, everything, every aspect of my life. So I will leave off with that as the last thing for me to share with you.
Yeah, you can do it every day, or you can do it when your heart tells you to. When you want, don't wait until you absolutely need it, or do it when you absolutely need it. It doesn't matter. There's not a lot of rules when it comes to this. You know, you knew that I chanted every day for the COVID thing. I had over 1,000 people and families that I chanted for.
Right.
And then I ended up getting COVID. You know why? Because I forgot myself.
Right.
So when you're praying for others, also, you know, before, remember when I used to teach you that before you really do a healing, heal yourself first so that your healing is pure.
Right, right.
Or before you do a prayer, you know, ask for your own high self, you know, and that way your prayers for someone else will be powerful.
I agree with you. And I think all of these things are tools. And one of the big takeaways of being able to work with someone like you as a teacher is that you have not just a toolbox, but like a whole garage, a house full of tools, and you keep adding all the time.
It's like, that's another thing. Last thing to do. Okay, I know you got to go, but everything in my house works. Everything, I've got so much stuff here, you know, so many beautiful things and art and so on. Everything vibrates and everything works in unison for the highest good. Your jewelry that you make, you know, that's why we wear jewelry, and the gems and the crystals, and everything's alive. And so you can use all of it to your highest good.
I agree with you. And it's so nice. Like, you know, and even that, if you need a place to focus your energy on, whether you're meditating or you're just putting yourself in a good place every day, my sister and I do it often. We look at each other, point to each other, and say, okay, 10 things that are positive, 10 things that you're grateful for. And it just sets the tone, especially if you do it in the morning, because then you'll be thinking about things all the time.
Do you know why gratitude is so important?
Because
the gratitude is important, because to have true gratitude is you recognize the gift from the divine.
Yeah, and it's exponential. It grows and it leads to other things, and it makes you feel good. I mean, when you start a list of, say, 5 things, it could easily be 10. It could easily be 20. I'm grateful for the trees and the stars and the fact that the earth can go through space and be able to keep us all healthy and well as it hurls through an entire solar system. You know, like, you imagine a world that had no trees? It'd be so weird. I'm thankful for the trees, you know, and just things like that. And all of a sudden, anything that's on your mind that you don't really enjoy, suddenly it doesn't even occur to you, because there's so much gratitude or things that make you happy concentrated in your mind. There's really no room for anything that's stressful or negative. Okay, well, it is 1:12 and 50 seconds. We thank you so much for being with us on episode 2 of the Psychic Zen 333. We will see you back next Wednesday. Thank you for tuning in with us, and we hope that you enjoyed this as much as we enjoy providing it to you. So much love, and have a wonderful day, everybody, or night, as it were. Bye.